If I can quote from President Nathan's address yesterday, that education is our best investment in Singapore's future. I've asked the press to come here today to talk about three exciting initiatives in terms of investments to develop three peaks of excellence in our tertiary sector. As the President said, education is our best investment, and MOE believes very strongly that the future of Singapore lies in the quality of our people. That's how we can enable them to make the best of the opportunities and create the future for themselves. We have a strong and dynamic public education system. Never perfect, always works in progress, but I think generally well respected, one that's forward-looking, responsive. And it's a key enabler in the past 30 years that has helped us transform our economy, social progress, and given us a very high standard of living. But it is the future which we must now prepare as we shape our education system. The President outlined certain changes in his speech about how the future would look like. Today we release our addenda, our MOE addenda to that address. But what is clear is that there will always be disruptive changes, and these changes will continue even after the recovery from this current financial global crisis. We think competition will increase as China, India, and Vietnam grow in capabilities, not only in terms of their manufacturing capabilities, but in the services capability, because the standards of education are also rising in these large Asian giants. So for Singapore, because we are small, I don't think we can compete through numbers. That's the losing end of the stick, if you like. And we have to always produce something that is special. So specifically for this morning, in terms of our tertiary sector, any institute that we build in our tertiary sector must be of higher quality, and it must help us compete with them and also help power Singapore's economy through knowledge and innovation. So as I said, to achieve this morning I want to talk about three new peaks of excellence. We've already talked about the new university. I will provide more details on this new university, but also talk about two other institutions, the Singapore Institute of Applied Technology, or SIAT, and the new medical school. Let me first start with SIAT, SIAT. The Committee on Expanding Universities Sector, headed by SMS Lui at that time, had recommended two main avenues for us to reach the 30% cohort participation rate. We are now at currently about 25%, so it was to increase to 30%, and they look for ways to do it. They recommended that we reach the 30% through two main avenues. One was the new university, and the second was the expansion of the polytechnic foreign specialized institutes initiative, the Poly-FSI initiative. MOE has decided that the expansion of the Poly-FSI would be best served by building another institution to accelerate this program. And this institution is what we are calling SIAT, Singapore Institute for Applied Technology. Let me first give some background to the Poly-FSI initiative. This was started in 2005, and it was in response to what our polytechnic graduates were on their own way achieving degrees overseas. Many of them, after completing 3 years of polytechnic education, and then they work for 1 to 2 years or a number of years through their jobs, either through their employers or found that their job scopes expanded and they needed to get degrees, went on their own. Many of them went to good institutions, and through a matter of time, when foreign institutions found that our polytechnic graduates were very high caliber, they gave them advanced standing. So they could complete, most of them could complete their degree courses within 2 years. So in other words, they spent 3 years in polytechnics and then went to work, some of them 1 or 2 or more years, and then after 2 years, they were able to get a degree. Some universities considered the polytechnic graduates to be of such high quality that they could actually complete the degree after 1 year. So it was either 3+2 or 3+1. We felt that there was something that we could leverage upon, and we started this Poly FSI, but because it was a new initiative, we decided that we would only start in certain niche disciplines. Since it started in 2005, we had good examples. Let me just name 2. There's a degree in optometry with University of Manchester, which is held at Singapore Polytechnic. And then there's another with a degree in naval architecture, University of Newcastle upon Tyne, and then this is at Singapore Poly and Ngee Ann Polytechnic. When we looked at the Poly FSI and wanted to expand it to reach the 30%, we realized that there were limitations. One, it took a lot of time and effort for each polytechnic to scour the foreign university partners on their own. They had to talk to many partners, to shortlist them and then find, because we wanted reputable foreign partners. And also because they were in niche disciplines, it didn't cater to the broad sweep or the mainstream of polytechnic graduates, because we gave you a list and they were in, as I said, optometry, naval architecture, and in actuality it only catered to 300 per year. Not many considering the number of people that were coming out of polytechnics. So while it was a very useful scheme, there were limitations. It didn't benefit the majority of graduates, diploma graduates from polytechnics who came out with engineering, IT, and other disciplines. It lacked scalability and the ability to attract good foreign partners for the long term. So to tackle this problem, I set up a task force at MOE and asked Naising, my Deputy Secretary, Mr. Loh Naising, to head this task force and then to rope in EDB and MOM counterparts so that they could give us a reading of the economy and also help us in terms of where the directions are, and as well as the polytechnic principals, 2 of which are here today, so that if you have any questions you can ask them. Han Xiong is from Singapore Polytechnic and Lee Man is from Nanyang Polytechnic, and they've been involved, and in the last few months they've been looking at this problem, talking to foreign universities, traveling, visiting them, asking them, and I'll give you some of their recommendations and feedback. But basically, the task I gave them was that from the current 300 per year, scale it up to 2,000 per year. It's a bold move, but I wanted to push it to see so that it can have an impact and meet needs which our polytechnic graduates have. I'm glad to say that they've completed the first task in short order, and they've given 4 recommendations, which is why we're having this press conference today and why the President mentioned this new institute. The first recommendation of this task force headed by Mr. Loh was that we should start a new dedicated institution called SIAT. So in other words, instead of allowing each of our polytechnics to go on their own, start this new institute, SIAT, in partnership with the 5 polytechnics that will be responsible to plan, manage, and implement degree programs offered by the foreign universities. SIAT will be a distinct and autonomous entity within MOE solely dedicated to this mission henceforth. It's raison d'etre. That's what we are creating it for, and it will grow in time. We hope to a fully established institution, maybe even a university, but that's for the future. But currently its role is to plan, manage, implement these degree programs with foreign universities. That's the first recommendation by the task force. The second recommendation is not just a new institution, it must be a peak of excellence, which means that it must bring in quality and foreign institutions with the international standing that I would say worthy of our polytechnic graduates, of the quality which we are producing. So it must go around, look for reputable foreign universities with high world standing. And because it's a distinct entity within MOEs with the sole mission, I think it'll be more responsive, nimble, to be able to negotiate the best terms with these foreign universities and ensure that from inception to implementation and henceforth that the quality of that degree is maintained. Because, when you can start something with a partner, but you want to make sure that the delivery is consistent. And the way to achieve that, the condition is that the degrees offered here, working with SIAT and the foreign universities, will be no different from what they offer in their parent country. In other words, they should be, we say, campus blind, that it has the same value, same cachet as you would offer if you were in UK or in Australia. You offer the same degree here. No dilution. In fact, we want to show that we can even have higher quality so that we can attract very good quality, reputable foreign universities so that our polytechnic graduates can get those degrees with a high cachet. The third recommendation is that we should lower costs for Singaporeans. Because we have many polytechnic graduates who are indeed going overseas. So in addition to the tuition fees, they have to pay board and lodging, they travel back and forth, they have to pay those travel expenses. They're higher costs. Through SIAT, the degree programs that are conducted here, it will lower costs to the students. For one, obviously they will not have to pay board and lodging, even if the tuition fees are the same. In addition, and this is a big addition, the government has agreed to subsidize tuition fees for these degree programs conducted by SIAT and the foreign university partners. The fourth recommendation by the task force is that we should expand not only the number of places but also provide more disciplines. As I said, the current limitation is that they are confined to niche programs which don't benefit the majority of polytechnic graduates. So these degrees now will be offered in mainstream disciplines, which means sciences, engineering, IT, digital media. These four groups, for a start, are the ones that are identified by our economic agencies to be growth areas. They will offer good jobs, which is what we want to offer our polytechnic graduates when they get the degrees. We might add more disciplines. SIAT may add more disciplines later. The aim of SIAT is to help produce degree holders which are valued by industry. That's been the strength of our polytechnic education. That's where we want to focus on, so that these degree graduates will have the know-how to perform higher value-added occupations. We envisage that those applying for SIAT would be typical of what polytechnic graduates do now. In other words, they have some working experience, 1, 2, 3 years. They know what they want, they know what the degrees are supposed to offer, what they are supposed to do, and then they choose the courses very wisely and then get their degrees within 2 years and then go back to the industry so that they don't have a long break. One of the problems, and it's a significant problem, is the long break which polytechnic diploma graduates have when they go to our current public universities, our autonomous universities. They have to do 4 years. It takes them a long time away from industry. They have to do 4 years because our public universities have a slightly different pedagogy. So there have to be some refocus, re-emphasizing, because they have to cater to both JC and polytechnics, and so our polytechnic graduates have to do another 4 years, which takes them a long time from industry, and they lose their currency. So we hope that with this new tie-ups, they can do it within 2 years after some working experience and quickly go back to industry where their skills will still be current. The goal is to start the SIAT. The goal is to start some courses in 2011, and by 2015, the target is to be able to enroll 2,000 full-time degree places and 1,500 part-time degree places. Which means that even graduates who are graduating this year or the last few years, if they're working in the next few years, they can still apply. So it will have the catchment is a wider spread, not only of new graduates, some may want to, but the broader body or the larger body of those who have come up from polytechnic for the last few years and the next few years going forward. So 2,000 full-time degree places and 1,500 part-time degree places. These were ideas that we conceptualized and fleshed out by the task force, but we really needed to market test these ideas. We want to be sure that it could take off. So the task group sounded out, visited the campuses of leading foreign universities that our polytechnic graduates currently now go to. So they went to them and says, well, you've had our polytechnic graduates for the last many, many years. We want to test out these ideas. So basically they went to the Swiss hotel schools, members of the Russell Group universities in the UK, and the Australian group of 8 universities, among others. I would say that the feedback was resonant, very positive. In the universities have indicated keen interest to be part of this. They say that they know the quality of our polytechnic graduates. They are very assured that Singapore government and MOE is de facto giving backing. And because SIAT is an MOE entity, it has an imprimatur of high degrees and sustainability, and they feel very comfortable with the arrangement, so negotiations are ongoing.